The snow doesn't ask permission in Siberia. It buries everything: roads, memories, lives. That night, the temperature dropped to -42 degrees. Old woman Katya stood at her window, staring into the white void beyond her cabin. And then she saw it. Something dark, moving, collapsing, something that shouldn't be there. She grabbed her lantern. She didn't know it yet, but stepping outside would change everything. Katya had lived alone in that cabin for 17 years. No electricity, no phone, just her, the stove, and the silence. Her husband was gone, her children grown and distant in the city. Out here, you don't wait for help. You survive, or you don't. The wind that night howled like something dying. Snow came down in sheets so thick you couldn't see your own hand. She should have stayed inside, but Katya knew the signs. The crows had stopped calling 3 days ago. The forest had gone silent. Something was wrong. She bundled herself in layers, wool, fur, anything to keep the cold from reaching bone. The lantern flickered as she stepped into the storm. Her boots crunched through fresh powder. 5 meters from her door, she saw the trail, blood, frozen, dark, leading into the trees. Her breath caught. Then she heard it, a low, guttural sound. Not wind, not human. She followed the blood. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, but Katya had never been a woman who ran. 30 meters into the forest, she found them. A Siberian tiger, lying in the snow, barely breathing, her orange fur matted with ice and blood. And beside her, a cub, small, shivering, eyes wide with terror. Katya froze. Tigers don't just lie down in Siberia, not unless they're dying. This one had been shot. A poacher's bullet lodged in her shoulder. She dragged herself here to protect her baby, but she was losing. The cub pressed against its mother, crying softly. Katya's hands trembled. Not from cold, from fear. If the mother woke, she could kill her in one swipe. If she didn't help, they'd both be dead by morning. She looked into the tiger's eyes. They were glassy, fading. But somewhere deep inside, there was still a spark, a mother's will to live. Katya made her choice. She ran back to the cabin. Her lungs burned, her heart pounded. She grabbed blankets, her sewing kit, alcohol, firewood, everything she had. The clock was ticking. When she returned, the cub was trying to nudge its mother awake. Katya knelt beside them. She whispered, low and steady, "I won't hurt you. I promise." The tiger's breathing was shallow. Katya moved slowly. She draped the blanket over the cub first, then, with shaking hands, she poured alcohol over the wound. The tiger's body jerked. A deep growl rumbled from her throat. Katya didn't move. She didn't run. She just kept working. She pulled the bullet out with pliers, stitched the wound with thread meant for boots. Her fingers were numb, her face stung from frostbite. But she didn't stop. Finally, she built a small fire. Just enough to keep them warm, not enough to scare them. Then she sat and waited. By dawn, the storm had passed. The tiger's breathing had steadied. The cub was asleep, curled against its mother's side. Katya stood, every muscle aching. She didn't expect gratitude. She didn't need it. But as she turned to leave, the tiger lifted her head, just slightly. Their eyes met. For one brief moment, there was no fear, no survival instinct, just recognition. One mother to another. Katya walked back to her cabin. She never saw them again. But weeks later, she found paw prints in the snow. 2 sets, leading away, together. In the coldest place on Earth, humanity didn't freeze. It burned brighter than any fire. Because compassion doesn't need warmth, it creates it.